Good to go.
Okay, you're
So
on.
I'll just say good evening and welcome to the Rutland Town Planning Commission meeting for June 25th, 2020. My name is Dana Peterson and I am the Vice Chair of the Rutland Town Planning Commission, and I'll be chairing this evening's meeting in the absence of Barbara Noyes Pulling. I would like to call the meeting to order at 6:35.
This is the ID right here. That's the ID.
So I'd like to have everybody, each member identify themselves as present. I'll invite members to state their full name and say present for the audience. I will use first names to designate who should speak. So we'll go with Howard alphabetically.
I'm here.
Okay, Howard Burgess is present. Norm, you want to identify yourself and say you're here?
Norman Cohen.
And Norman is present. Who's next on our list?
I think it's
How about Andy?
Andy McCain, present.
Mary Beth?
Mary Beth Poley, present.
Jerry? Jerry, you're gonna have to click your button to unmute your microphone. Should be at the bottom of your screen. I can't unmute him, can I? Can you unmute him, Bill?
I can send him a request to unmute himself, but I can't actually unmute his microphone. I can mute it, but I can't unmute it. So
Okay, maybe you can send him a request to unmute.
I did. I put up the little. It should be a little flag on the screen that says, "Hey, you should unmute." So
Okay. Because technically, unless he identifies himself as being here, we're not sure that he's actually here.
right.
Bill, did you say that you saw him, but he left?
No, his ID is there, but he is no video and no audio at the moment. Oh, we just lost Howard. Oh, maybe here he comes. Hold on.
Jerry or Howard?
Howard. All right, I think Howard's back. There we go. No, Jerry's still all off.
Now Mary Beth is gone.
Yep. Well, I think Mary Beth is still there. She just
Yeah.
Oh, there's,
Yep,
okay.
she just closed her camera or shut off her camera. Is there any way we can call Jerry? Does somebody have his phone number?
I can try. Yeah, give me a second.
Because we may need to just talk to him to figure out what's hanging up.
Yes. Well, I made it, Bill.
His phone goes to voicemail.
His phone goes to voicemail?
Yeah.
Well, can you send him a text, Andy?
Good idea.
And have him call Bill, maybe? Oh, actually, Bill's talking to somebody. He may be talking to Jerry. Why is it that Barbara never seems to have this much trouble?
Okay, Jerry's here. He can't get his computer to unmute for some reason, so he can hear everybody, but he just can't talk at the moment. He's working on it.
The other thing is that he can, if he leaves and comes back in, he may be unmuted.
Yeah, he's gonna try that too if if it doesn't work. But he's
Okay.
working on it.
So you have confirmed then,
He's
you
here.
have confirmed, Bill, that Jerry is present,
Yes,
and he can always type in the chat if we get to a vote or something like that.
that's true. Yes.
Okay. So if we agree now that we have 6 members present, we do have a quorum, we will begin the rest of the agenda. And so I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as it was sent out.
Motion to approve agenda as presented.
Thanks, Andy.
Second,
Thanks, Norm. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I,
aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved. Yes. All righty. So next item of business, do we have anybody from the public? I don't think we do.
No.
Okay, so I'll skip my little intro to people from the public since they're not there. Next, we have a couple of items under new business. And those items are a review of the Center Rutland Pocket Park, site plans and recommendations to the select board. The other item is 2 pending applications, and that's more of an awareness. We don't have to take any action tonight, but just so that you are aware. And maybe I'll just mention that now, and then we can spend the rest of the time on the pocket park. So we have 2 project review sheets, one for East Creek Sawmill and one for the East Pittsford Horse Pasture. Those are not actual applications, but preliminary filings. Is that correct, Bill? Can you tell me?
Yeah,
what
they're just project review
Project-
sheets. It's that we haven't received any Act 250 application or anything like that yet. It's just for kind of like a pre-notice thing.
Okay, so that we may see those at a future meeting.
Yeah.
And that's all we have on the agenda for that. So East Creek Sawmill and the East Pittsford Horse Pasture, both of them seem to be relatively small projects. Is that accurate, Bill?
That's what it looks like. Yep. The one of these Pittsford Road, I was trying to find out where they are, but maybe Howard, but I couldn't find any property they owned on East Pittsford Road to figure out where they were going. The other one, the Sawmill one, looks like it's going to be right between the fire station and the state police barracks on the east side of McKinley Avenue.
Way in the back, not on the,
Yeah,
I don't-
not right on the road, but yeah, but that property that's right there. Yeah.
it's not not on Cedar Lane. It's way off of Cedar Lane.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Cedar
Not-
Ave,
not Cedar
yeah,
Ave.
he owns several acres there. I would assume he put it way back.
Yep.
On the backside.
I'm sorry, is it McKinley or Cedar Lane? It's McKinley.
It's McKinley.
Yeah.
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah.
So Howard, do you know anything about the East Pittsford Horse Pasture?
I don't. No, I don't.
Well,
Nothing.
this is just an awareness. Barbara asked me to put it on the agenda so that we are not surprised when they come up. It's just a pre-filing, and
Yep.
when the application comes in, we'll know what that's about.
Right. Yep.
Okay. I think that's it for that. So that's very simple and straightforward. The next item is reviewing the Center Rutland Pocket Park site plans and making recommendations to the select board. So spending some time on the concept of the pocket park, our task is to examine the 2 site plans that have been provided and to capture a list of observations. My understanding is that Otter Creek Engineering will provide 1 final site plan as long as there is no more surveying and it is not a complete redesign of what these plans have.
Excuse me, Dana, could you speak up a little bit louder?
I will do my best.
That's good.
I don't want to yell. My wife tells me that I yell too much when I'm on Zoom meetings, but if you let me know what the level is, I can talk as loud as you need me to.
Thank
So
you.
what I will say is that if Otter Creek is willing to do that, I would just invite Mary Beth to say a few words about that and make sure that I'm not misconstruing what I think to be the parameters around which they will continue to help us one final time to draw a final site plan.
Sure. So just talking with the engineers, and they're saying, so just so everyone understands, it's just a concept plan. It's not an official design plan with surveying and everything. And that they're happy to do a pro bono review, but they just ask that we get all of the changes that we want together and just submit it once, and then they'll make all the changes. And yeah, but they're happy to do it.
So does that seem reasonable enough for us to be able to work with Otter Creek Engineering so that they can get what they need and can offer us some assistance in moving this project forward? Great. So at this point, I'd just like to publicly acknowledge Mary Beth for her work to continue this partnership with Otter Creek Engineering and the town. So thank you very much, Mary Beth. We appreciate your hard work.
Mary Beth?
Oh, yeah?
Just one question on the photo, which is a nice photo. It says City of Rutland. And it's
I know.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
the
problem.
plans. That'll be one of the included changes that they'll make. You haven't noticed that. Yeah, they'll definitely change that.
And Barbara also mentioned that there was no historic marker or something that we also need to keep track of. So just for the record.
Okay. Yeah.
So according to Barbara, before we go into our discussion this evening, there are some neighbors and residents who are also interested in working with us on this project and also working with the select board. So I just want to invite Bill to just say a couple of comments about what that might mean or look like. I know that he was in.
I got the list.
Oh, that's the list. Very good. So
It was delivered
I'm
this
glad I
afternoon.
haven't put you on the spot, Bill, but
Yep.
I guess the select board has also talked with Bill about gathering a list of folks who are interested so that they can be appraised of the decisions that we're making and any groups that we form moving forward.
Yeah, when
So
we did the
I'll turn it
site,
over to Bill for a
site visit, we did the site visit last year, maybe even the year before, at the center Rutland Falls to talk about the scope of the project and what some of the ideas were. And everybody that went there signed in, and some of the residents that are from that neighborhood expressed interest in being a part of the project. So we'll when we are ready to have a meeting, like basically an ad hoc committee meeting about this park, we can extend the invitation to them to join us for that.
And so one of the tasks, so help me remember, Bill, or the rest of the planning commission, not to forget this. At the end, once we've concluded our work, Barbara did ask me to ask once again who from the planning commission would be interested, because apparently this will be a group that is formed an ad hoc committee, including select board members, planning commission members, and potentially neighborhood residents and community members as part of this initiative moving forward. So I know several of us may have expressed our interest, but just so that we can cycle back and report back to Barbara, that would be good. Something I'll be looking for at the end of our conversation. So don't let me forget that as we go through the rest of the agenda. So with that as the backdrop, let's look at the two designs and determine two things: how complete they are, and in other words, is we have one from GMP and the other one from Otter Creek Engineering. How complete they are? Do we need to combine them? Is it better to take one and then make a couple of recommendations from the other? How do we want to look at that? And then if we decide to merge the two plans, then Otter Creek will work with us to do one final version. So let's begin by looking at one or the other of those. I think the first one that we had received was the GMP one. Is that correct, Bill?
Yeah,
It's also the one that's most difficult to read.
that's the one that's, yeah, I sent everybody the best version I could make of it. It looks like it's a copy of a printout of something.
Right.
So, yeah.
So do you have something that you can share with us, Bill? And maybe a Google map that would allow us to see what we're talking about in the area, and you could designate that. And we can talk a little bit about the features that are included on the GMP site map.
Let me
And
see if I
then,
can.
oh, hey, Jerry. And then we would be able to glean from that site map what we want to maintain or preserve, and then we'll look at the Otter Creek engineering one and see if there's things that we need to port over or so forth, and we'll make a final decision.
Dana?
Yeah.
Dana, excuse me. I just wanted to say that I printed both of the things down that Mary Beth sent me, and neither one printed well. I went over and visited with Bill today because I couldn't tell from what I was able to print down, exactly what was going on. So I'm not sure even now as you speak, which one is the Green Mountain Plan and which one
So
is the,
that's why I was asking Bill if he can call them up on the screen.
Yep.
And give us a Google map that would also provide an orientation. But we need to start someplace. So I arbitrarily picked the Green Mountain Power site
There you
map
go.
for us to look at.
that would be very helpful.
So here we go, and he can zoom in, but it isn't the most clear.
No, it's not. It's there's really not much way for me to sharpen this up either. I mean, it's tough. So,
Your cursor you can use your cursor, can you not?
yeah. The oops. The road is right here at the bottom, and then over to the side, this is the existing. That's the old road. I think that's the old railroad line, and then the railroad lines right here is the current one, and it looks like the falls are right in here somewhere.
And so the orientation is that Simmons is a dog leg,
Yeah.
and on the left side, on the left boundary of the paper is Route 4, if I've got my orientation correct, Bill.
Yep.
So over to the left side is Route 4, and Simmons does a dog leg from Route 4 and then around the corner and parallels Route 4,
Yeah.
going by the railroad
So
track.
I think this is Otter Creek up at the top here. I think that's, and I think they have it delineated of like, here's parking spaces, and it looks like a walking path, and to something here. It says concrete buttress, I think, wall maybe. It is tough to read, but a concrete retaining wall under the railroad bridge. So yeah, it looks like the parking spaces are right on Simons Ave, and then a walking path over to the edge where there used to be a bridge once upon a time.
I'll have you speak a little bit about that bridge in just a minute, but those circles, are they trees? Is that what they're supposed to represent?
I don't know. I mean, there's a legend, but I can't make.
I couldn't read it.
Yeah.
They're probably trees.
They got to be some sort of something.
I think
Mary
they
Beth?
are trees because it looks like labels on some of them: evergreen tree, shade tree.
Yeah.
So I think all the circles are trees.
And what are the things that look like umbrellas just underneath that circle where they, it's over by the falls? There are 3 umbrellas to the right side, right there.
That says evergreen tree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I can't read it. I couldn't read it in the beginning
I
either.
barely can. Yeah, I see like shade tree. Oh boy, these
Yep.
are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
they're proposed trees, not existing,
Well,
but I don't know.
Okay, just so that we have an orientation.
yeah.
So what questions do members have about this design and the features that we've seen before I have Bill say a few words about a previously existing bridge that crossed the falls there? Any questions about the design, the layout, what's being proposed?
I have one if I may. It's kind
Feel
of hard
free,
to-
Norman.
May I proceed?
Absolutely.
Thank you. If you look from the Route 4 side coming along Simmons, before you get about halfway up, there's a dark rectangular area. What is that?
Right here in the middle,
Yeah,
parking spaces.
that's to be parking spaces?
I
Okay.
think that's what that says, yeah.
It's got to be. It's got to
Yeah,
be
it's
the
got
parking
to
area.
be, yeah.
Well, okay, because as I recall the other design, it wasn't that extensive, but it may be just appearance. Thank you.
It looks like on the corner there where cars park now, they're going to plant trees so that there's no more parking on that
Yeah.
sharp corner. You have to park in the parking lot.
Right, but Howard, there's currently no parking where the proposed shaded area is currently, correct?
Oh, correct. Right. Yes.
So it would be relocating where the cars are currently parking, which is really not a parking designated area, into a specific area that would be paved, I'm assuming, and be marked for a certain number of cars to be able to park there.
That's right. Yep.
Okay. All right. Other questions or comments regarding the layout of the path, tree plantings, or other things?
This is the Green Mountain Power proposal?
Yes.
Yes. So Bill, do you want to comment on any of the clearing that would need to happen, whether it's this proposal or the other proposal?
Yeah, so here's I can't really rotate this view, but so this is where it shows that parking space, those parking spaces to be is just above this corner. So this whole area would be cleared out, and I think both proposals had a lot of clearing of these trees and brush to open up the view and to make it a little more usable.
And so where your cursor is now and a little bit to the right is where they had that circular area on the
Yes.
previous, right around there.
Yep.
And do you want to comment now about the bridge? Because
Sure.
we now have the earth view.
Sure. So there used to be a road that went across here, and there used to be a bridge across that. That's the old right-of-way, and there was discussion at the site visit about the feasibility of putting a pedestrian bridge back in there. So the town, we actually own a covered bridge. It would not fit the span of that distance, but that'd be a pretty nice feature to put there. I'm not sure if we're able to or not, but we haven't really gotten that far with discussions. But Byron is probably the best person to talk about that. He's most aware of that bridge. But they talked about putting a pedestrian bridge there, with some cement pylons to prevent, motor vehicles, but, to make that so you could walk across it and, stand there, which would be a really nice feature.
What would be the purpose of that, a bridge, Bill, other than aesthetically very pleasing?
Walking, just a pedestrian bridge, because the only other option right now is to walk down and around and across the business
Okay.
floor bridge.
Mhm.
So it would allow for pedestrians to cross there, but there's some infrastructure and engineering that's going to have to go into that part of it very specifically. So I don't think anybody's been approached about any of that type of research yet.
The other thing, Norman, that it would allow is for a bike path to come along Old Falls Road across the river rather than having to cross the bridge down on Route 4 and then take Simmons all the way to join perhaps a rail trail further up that would allow cyclists and pedestrians to enjoy a walk or a ride along the road towards West Rutland without having to go out on the highway.
Then that's a very appealing idea. The one thing that concerns me is I rode up the other side. What's the name of the road on the other side? It swings
Old
around.
Falls?
Old Falls Road.
Yes, and it's fairly sparsely populated, and I don't see it connecting to anything on the other side. So a bridge would serve very few people.
Well,
And
there is a sidewalk along Business 4 that goes right along the road underneath the railroad trestle and right to in front of the office here. So it just goes right down there. So the bridge is just an accessory to the project. It's not the focus of the project. It wasn't the purpose of the project. It was just hey, we might have another option for something else here. That wasn't the focus or the purpose of the park.
Well, it's appealing as part of a bike path because for those of us who are bikers, it would add to the safety considerably. But of course, none of us have made up our mind now, but it's something that has some appeal to me. The expense and how much it really facilitates and all that would have to be studied.
Mm-hmm.
I think the expense is certainly of concern.
I'm sorry?
If we had a park on both sides of the river for some purpose, but we don't. It doesn't look like there's going to be any development of using a park on the east side of the river. So I think the bridge serves very little, and it would be very costly to put that in.
I think that this should be considered as a completely separate project, the bridge. It's a nice idea, but let's stick with just getting the park made.
Well, we certainly wouldn't want it to slow down the progress on the park.
Right.
Okay, so Bill, you want to take us? Go ahead, Mary Beth.
So just on the parking area, on this plan, on the Green Mountain Power one, I'm just a little bit concerned with the safety because I'm always going down that road. I live right up the road, and that would make me nervous just having more cars close to the curve. But I'm sure there are standards, they talk about the VTrans standards, so I'm sure they looked at the safety aspect, but that would be one thing that I would want to keep in mind.
I think the date on this map, I think I can read it. It says 2001. So, I'm not sure what they took into consideration at this point, 19 years ago. So, I agree. And, I think that's why the other one doesn't, I think the other map only has like half as many parking spaces, probably for that reason.
Yeah. Yep.
Mary Beth, could I ask, how would you feel if we take the radical step of saying if we close Simons Avenue off? No, I'm somewhat serious.
No, you know what? I think actually that's a good idea. I use it, but it's the same distance to take Ripley Road. Yeah, and you can take a left on Simons Avenue. Actually, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
I don't think the fire department would buy
left
it.
and then a right. It's not a big deal. And then you would have more space for a park. And
Oh, yeah. You could make that into a parking lot.
Curve. Like my daughter's bus, if I'm working in Middlebury and I go up through Proctor, I take that way. And I'm always going at 7:15 when the bus comes by. And I'm always afraid that I'm going to go at the exact same time as the bus. So we're going to hit each other on that curve. But yeah, it's not very safe, but I think that's a good idea if other people are interested.
So you would put some bollards at the end of Simons and the junction with Route 4 on the northeast.
You couldn't close it off. This would be as far as you could go because this is the Johnson Energy driveway.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be right here. is where, and then obviously this house over here. So we'd
Yep.
eliminate the corner, but
Hmm.
so that could be a dead end portion of Simon's Ave, which
Yeah.
I guess, but you have to stop it just at the end of their driveway. So that, I mean, well, I guess you'd stop it down here where you want the parking to be, it'd just be a dead end street, either side. It's an interesting thought.
It just
Yeah.
wouldn't be a through street, right?
Right.
Hmm.
They also both couldn't be Simon's Ave anymore. So one would have to change.
Mhm.
Could end Simon's Avenue right at the old railroad overpass. You know, right at the abruptments there, it would be a good spot to end it.
Well, if you end it down here, nobody on this stretch needs to change their address. If you do it the other way, you'd have to.
No, I meant change it. I meant just put keep Simon's Avenue contiguous up to the railroad overpass, the old abruptments on the corner.
Oh, right here.
Yes.
Yep.
And so how many addresses, Bill, do we have on the northeast segment of Simon's?
Just Johnson Energy.
So, I mean, that's changing one address. That's
And
not a big deal.
their address is Business Route 4.
There you go.
So, yeah, we would, it would be more advantageous and much easier on everybody to not have to do that to
Right.
them.
So you could cut it off right at the Johnson Energy
Yes.
driveway.
Hmm.
Because see, their driveway is right on the road.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that would be this would all become parking lot.
Yeah. I think that's a good idea.
It would
And
certainly
then there wouldn't be
Yeah,
any
they're already
concern for
paved.
vehicular traffic because the bollards would be there preventing anybody from coming further
Yeah.
down past Johnson Energy, and there would be no reason for traffic coming the other way on Simon's.
Yeah.
Right.
And we could put dead end signs right there at the corner, so
Yep.
no egress or something, so they turn around.
Yeah. No outlet.
No outlet. Yep.
I'd be interested to see what those 4 houses think about it, but you would think that they would like it because there's less traffic going by their house.
I live on a dead end street. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
what you-
nice.
Yeah. That's a nice thing.
Excuse me. I'm kind of intrigued by the idea, but if we cut vehicular traffic off at the edge of the
Johnson Energy.
Johnson,
Yeah.
Well,
how
I
will
think-
people park? Wait a minute. How?
right.
Yeah.
And I agree. So I don't think you could end it right there. I think we'd have to, it would end, probably end here at the corner. It would come straight down and end. There'd be there'd be blockage here and here, but the end of the road could just become the parking lot. But
Yeah.
you could, I understand, Norm, if we just ended it right here at the driveway, people are going to park in their driveway, and that's going to be bad. We don't want that. So, I think if we took over this corner, and ended it right there, on the other side of this marble bridge base, then that whole corner could become parking lot.
Yeah, we could make like a marble wall, which would go along with the marble
Mhm.
theme. And
Sounds good. Okay. So we'll have to capture these ideas in a little more specific manner at the end. We can summarize. So I wrote a note to close off Simon. So we're looking at corner by the proposed park would limit access coming south on what is now the access to Route 4, right? Because the access to the park would still be on, which will be renamed to another avenue other than
It's on
Simon.
the north-south, or is it north-south leg or east-west? No.
That's north-south. North-south is by Johnson.
Yeah, okay. So on the
East-west
north-south,
is
part of it.
Route 4.
yeah. So yeah, the section that runs north-south would become the primary parking area. And the east-west version just becomes a dead-end road.
Right. So that would be after Johnson Energy. Okay. We're gonna have to do some work with, putting the recommendations together when we're done. So any further questions before we go to Otter Creek Engineering's site plan? Okay, Bill, back to you. Take us over to Otter Creek.
Oops. All right. So. Okay, so here's the other one.
Same orientation. Johnson
Yep.
Energy is on the left in
Yep.
the middle of our screen.
So we've got 2 parking spaces on the corner.
Yeah, they had 2 parking spaces at the elbow of the road, and then 4 parking spaces closer to Business Route 4.
Okay, yep.
So what are people's thoughts about this?
Well, from my thoughts, this is Howard. For what few cars we're talking about parking there, to me it seems, not practical just to shut that whole street down. I think it's going to cause a lot of other problems. But I mean, for just a few parking spaces, we're seeing 4 on one end and 2 on the other. How heavily will this thing be used? I guess is a good question. How much activity is it going to get before we think about, closing down part of Simons Avenue? There was discussion on this before, I think, when at one point we talked about closing Simons Avenue. Once you come from, say, by the College of St. Joe and come through Barrett Hill, you come down to the underpass, that all the traffic would have to turn left and come out by Gower.
By Gower, yeah.
Road. And I remember part of the discussion was, well, people that want to go to Proctor normally would go that other way on Simons Avenue. There was a lot of different discussion about getting out of that intersection by Gowis, as to how difficult or practical that is. So I don't know. I think we really got to put a lot of thought into Simons Avenue. Do we really want to, close it down? But that's just my opinion. For just a small park with not a tremendous amount of activity, we have to shut the road down. But that's me.
That could be something that could be addressed later on, really, after the park gets built, because if all of a sudden the park becomes quite popular, then they could be moved along in that direction. If 6 parking spaces doesn't prove to be adequate for the kind of usage the park that I would envision that it would get, hopefully.
That's a good point, Andy. Very good. Yep.
And,
Yeah.
Andy, if I may, the flip side of that is that if it's done on the front end, it may make it more appealing because of absence of traffic, more tranquil, that kind of thing. So,
Absolutely.
I think the residents, if when we contact them and bring them in on part of the discussion, may probably have the best answer to that question of all. If they live right there, they're going to know. If they're going to probably the strongest opinion of that of all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be good to talk to the people there, like just early on like this.
Yep.
To see what's a possibility, because we obviously wouldn't want to do something that they were against. They live right there, so.
Oh, I think on the front end is much better.
Okay, other observations about this particular site plan?
Just one question. Bill, what are the yellow lines?
The property boundaries.
Yeah.
For different
Based
parcels?
on,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's based on the state parcel, so probably not 100% accurate, but
They're right of, Norm, they're kind of in the project area, but they're right of ways, project areas. Like you can see the old railroad line, you know, going through here, but this is a parcel. It's just property boundaries.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, did you want to say something about where the beach was planned or the launch for
Oh yeah,
canoeing?
so there's a I think it's somewhere down here, maybe toward the bridge. But one of the things we talked about at the site visit was that there's a excuse me, there's a beach down there, but putting in a canoe launch that would start there, and then a corresponding exit in Proctor, probably before the falls. But you know, space down there. And when we were down there, I think we had a couple people from Green Mountain Power with us, and they said that they have the property at the other end as well, and that could be facilitated, so people would have a way to launch canoes from here and get them out down there. So that was a pretty popular suggestion.
Bill, this
Yeah.
is Norman. One question just occurred to me. Who's going to own the land? Will the land be deeded to the town, or will?
I believe Mary was talking about easements from Green Mountain Power, but that's not a discussion that I've been a part of yet, so I'm not sure.
So that the park will be owned by and maintained by the town, but the underlying ground will be owned by Green Mountain Power, and the town will have some kind of easement?
I think that was one of the prevalent scenarios, but that specific conversation, I don't believe, not that I'm aware of, has been had yet.
I'm sorry?
That specific conversation hasn't been had to my knowledge yet. So
Okay, just
we would need
again,
Green Mountain Power in on that.
I assume they'll
Okay.
be looking,
oh, was
Go
there
ahead,
some?
Norman. Oh, go ahead, Mary Beth.
Was there something that Barbara was talking about adding?
There was something about a historic marker.
Oh, the trough.
Potentially, that's on the other side, right, Bill?
Yep, it's right now it's. So I believe I can get it here. Oh, I don't know if I can zoom in.
We're close.
Yeah. It's right there. Sitting on the side of the road.
Huh.
So that's where it is right now. But it's from Mary. I talked to Mary Ashcroft about that this morning, and she said that it belongs to the Daughters of the American Revolution, and that they were interested in having it. They were open to having it moved. So it used to sit in the middle of the intersection before there were cars. So, but right now it's off to the side, just sitting there. So
Whose land is it on?
I'm not sure.
Probably state or railroad.
Yeah, it's not attracting any glory or
No,
significance under the bush there.
not particularly.
Okay. So we should have the daughters involved in that conversation as well, I would imagine.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else that we need to discuss with respect to the Otter Creek site plan?
Neither of these plans, do we see anything for anything like facilities of any type?
Nope. No, there's no septic, there's no sewer, there's no water, there's really no infrastructure for that there.
Are there going to be portable toilets and stuff like that?
I don't believe so.
Going to be picnic areas?
There are picnic tables that are there, just those are proposed on the plan here. So there could be.
I would just be concerned, I mean, if people are going to be eating there as part of their day and don't have a place to take care of business, I'm not sure that makes sense.
That'd be a
I
discussion.
think any plan should include some sort of facilities. Yeah, even porta potties.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. Wasn't thinking of anything permanent, but some kind of
Mhm.
facility.
Is there anything so Dewey Field is right up the road.
Mhm.
Does that have facilities or porta potty?
It does, but they are not, well, yes, but I don't know that they are open even when there's games there. The only place they are, there's the concession building, but it's more of a storage building at this point. So I don't think that, where is it? There it is. I don't think it's not open on a regular basis. It's not unlocked. But that's the only one is that building there. But yeah, and I don't know if that's really going to be
It's a long way to take
a long way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that would be convenient enough for people to be able to use the park and feel comfortable.
Yeah.
So I think that that needs to be one of those items that we carry over for the select board when we make our consolidated set of recommendations.
Yeah.
Further observations about the Otter Creek engineering plan? Are there other things that should be taken into consideration? We've got the path from the a GMP version, correct? There's a pedestrian path or a walking path?
Yep. That dotted line.
Four-car parking lot.
From GMP. We've got a parking lot. We've got a recommendation for a marble gateway or something there with those two marble. Oh, that's what it said, cut brush. I knew I saw it someplace. Picnic area. So what's the pleasure of the group? Do we want it? Which of the two site plans has the most comprehensive set of recommendations that we would want to use as our base, and how would we want to incorporate the other site plan in terms of the features that it offers?
You know, the area is really limited to what you can do with it. And I think what Mark Youngstrom had come up with was that walking path is probably a little tricky thing, but it's probably about the only thing you could put along there to do something with it. From that 4-car parking lot, it would be a gravel walking lot, which would go down along, near the river, which would be quite nice.
Yep.
But it's very limited. It's rugged terrain out in there. You look at the contours here, and there's not a whole lot you can do with it. I think what he's got is a good concept. with that walking path.
You're talking about the GMP one now, right, Howard?
No, I'm on the photo one, the one,
So you're talking about Otter Creek?
Otter Creek, coming from the 4-car parking lot.
Yep.
Business Group 4.
Oh, is that a path with those dotted lines?
It's
Yes.
a walking path, yeah. I think he wants to make a gravel path is what I think he labeled it, the gravel path is what he is labeled it as, and which would be pretty tricky to put in, but it would be nice once it's in there. There's not much you can do along that river, I don't think, but I kind of like what that, I haven't been down in there to see it along the whole path, but it looks to me like it's something we should certainly look at.
So
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Maybe we should take a visit and take a walk out there like the select board did.
Yep.
The other path was one that was up near the top that was proposed by GMP that kind of snaked around from the west side in the middle and then went around the top and didn't have to navigate the steep contour lines. And then it would go to the same destination, I think, if I'm
I think
reading
a
the
site
map
visit
correctly.
is probably going to be necessary to really see what these
Sorry, Howard, could you repeat that?
Pardon?
Could you repeat what you said? I didn't catch everything you said.
I think having a site visit to look at these two routes, these two layouts would be very beneficial.
I agree.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mhm.
Before we make recommendations to the select board?
I think
Yes.
so.
Do we have enough at this point to do that? Are they asking us to make a recommendation at this point?
Our task was to just process these maps, make some suggestions. We can put those suggestions down on paper, but the question is whether we transfer those those suggestions to the select board immediately, or whether we wait until we do a site visit. If we're going to do that, I would suggest that we have a site visit in the next, 3 to 6 weeks, which would be the next meeting or two. Otherwise, too much time is just elapsing.
I think a site visit would be very beneficial, and I don't think we should make any recommendations before we do it. I'm wondering if it might make some sense to meet a half an hour early next time and go down and take a site visit before the next meeting. Or do it the other way and just have the meeting go a little longer on the back end and meet there at 6:30, whichever most convenient. I'm not working, so I can be
So
flexible.
Norman, I would say that the select board has already done a site visit. So if for us to be able to make any intelligent recommendations or to align the conversation that we've had this evening with those recommendations, we probably should see what it looks like. So
We should move ahead towards having that site visit as soon as we can.
Yep.
And be there with some really good large scale prints.
Yes.
So that we can put some different things down on paper in an accurate scale.
Mhm.
In other words, have drawing paper that's 18 by 36 with and so we can make some full-size plan sketches on it.
Yeah.
Bill, could we do something like that with could we get a printout of a Google map of the area and then we could mark it up with some black markers and things?
Sure, I can print this image out.
Mhm.
And
How big can you do them, Bill?
I think 11 by 17.
Can we go locally and get someplace and get them reproduced larger?
Hey, Mary Beth, what size can you print?
Full-size construction prints.
Hold on.
So I can only do black and white down here in Rutland. Would that be all right? Or I could print the site plan. But we don't have a color printer down in Rutland. That's the large format.
Do you need a color, Andy, or do you want?
No. Just a standard construction type print showing the one with the contour lines in it and the roadway.
So you want this
so we could mark off potential different things and just sketch things in and not have them conflicted.
You want this map printed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
And what
Sure.
size?
Yeah, in a large scale.
Hmm.
Is this the this is the GMP map, or is this the,
No, it's the Otter Creek map.
Is that big enough, Andy?
well, my suggestion,
Yeah, absolutely.
my suggestion is we have each one, Otter Creek and Green Mountain Power. I don't know whether it's necessary to have a Google map or not. And we'll be there.
I think, Norman, we only need one map. The question is, which do we want to mark on? We can use the smaller maps, but to Andy's point, if you want a large map that will give you a bigger view and you want to draw on it, then I only think we need one map that has the basic contours, which this one does, and the layout. And we can use the smaller map to highlight the features if we want to carry those over.
Exactly. That's exactly my thought, Dana, right there.
Okay. So what would be the size? What would be the dimensions, Mary Beth, of something bigger than what Andy's suggesting?
Well, why don't we just use the one that we have, because they're gonna edit it anyway. So it's not right. Bill, do you need a copy of the draft that you have? Is it all right if we mark on that one, or I could get another one?
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, because then once they make the changes, get hard copies of that.
Yep.
The final
For
version.
for copies, we can do 11 by 17 colored copies at the town office.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be too bad. 11 by 17. You could do it in 2 sections if you really needed to, but that's just, those can be done in-house.
Andy didn't think that was quite big enough, I think.
Okay.
And in the field, it's just, you can draw things in better perspective. That's my only point.
Okay.
Well, it's going to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, I could always make another one. We could have 2, but we have the one. There's the one in the town office, and then the. I mean, I think we charge like $3 to, print out a copy. It's not a big deal, but we could have. I could print out another one, and we could have 2.
So why don't you do that, Mary Beth, if you can, and we'll.
Okay.
The planning commission will pay the $3 fee. I mean, it's not.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Aw.
Okay. All right. So, Mary Beth, are you going to get a second copy then?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you guys want to schedule? I mean, we'll have to talk to the other people that aren't here, but do you want to schedule some dates that might work for a site visit?
Somebody had a suggestion, Mary Beth, of starting earlier. I think it was Andy, maybe, that start a half hour earlier, 6 o'clock. If we did the next meeting, I think that's the 16th, July 16th.
Okay.
And then even if our meeting doesn't start exactly at, maybe Bill, we postpone, we say the meeting will start at 7 that night.
You can start that meeting whenever you want to. I am going to be on the beach in southern New Jersey. You can do whatever you like.
Nice.
I was making a suggestion that perhaps if we're going to do a site visit and we want to make sure that there's enough time, that when we reconvene, we should notice the public that it's going to start at X time rather than 15 minutes beyond when we say that it's going to start.
Mm-hmm.
Can I make a comment about
Sure.
the time? We are really loaded with ticks in center Rutland here. I don't know about down at that particular place, but the ticks are terrible. I mean, I walked out back tonight for about 5 minutes around my backyard, and I came back in with 2 ticks on me.
Oh, wow.
And the thing is, if you're going to go down and do this before a meeting, it's something to think about. Then you're going to go and sit for 2 hours at a meeting, and if you've got ticks on you, it's not going to be very nice. That's my only thought. Anytime I would go to a place like this, I would want to get cleaned up and get changed because they're
Good
terrible.
point, Howard. So what is your suggestion? Do we pick a different time?
Yeah, well, my suggestion would be that we pick a different time just to do this and not mix it in, with a meeting. But I'm good for either. But I'm just telling you, the ticks are horrible. They're really bad.
Yeah. I know. I got a bullseye the other day. I'm actually still on the doxycycline, for a tick bite. Yeah. Yeah, not something to mess with. Well, what if we chose another Thursday between now and the next?
That could work.
Can we do a site visit without it being a warned meeting?
Bill?
Mm.
Maybe not, Bill.
Yes, but you can't do anything other than, I think you can't make any decisions or do any business. I mean,
Well, the other thing is, Bill, that if it's not a warned meeting, everybody's doing it on volunteer time.
we only need 2 days notice. I mean, you need 48 hours to warn a meeting, that's it. So it's
Okay.
not hard.
My vote would be to do it on another Thursday and at a time mutually agreed to everybody. And so we could spend a nice hour there with good daylight.
So you're really talking about the 9th, because I don't think anybody's going to be available. Many people will be available for the holiday weekend. I don't know.
Right.
So looking,
Well, the second.
that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe people are available.
I'm available either day.
I would not be available on the 2nd. Just thinking about that. I have relatives that I'm supposed to be entertaining.
I've
Yeah,
got
the
the-
9th works
That
for me.
means the 9th.
Yep.
I can't be there the 9th or the 16th. So
Do we need you, Bill? If we
no, that's just, I can make sure you guys, I can leave copies of the maps and you can pick them up and
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah.
because your vacations are those 2 weeks, right?
Well, the 9th, I've already got something planned on the 9th.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, then the next week I'm gone. So
Right.
Yeah.
Jerry
But
says
no,
the
I
9th
don't-
works for him.
No, there's nothing I need to be there for.
Okay. Jerry says the 9th works. How many other people for whom the 9th would work?
I'm okay with the 9th.
Works for me.
This is Andy. It works for me.
Okay, Norman, you said yes? And Mary Beth, you said yes?
Yep. Do you want to say?
Howard, did you chime in?
Yes, yep.
And that works for you?
Yep.
Okay. Who else?
Should we
is
do
1, 2, 3?
6:30? Should we stick with 6:30? Do you think for the visit?
Sure, that's fine.
Just
Okay.
easy to remember.
So we just have to make sure that that Barbara got that. And who else do we need? Jim
Jerry,
and Hunter.
Mm.
Sherman, sorry.
I don't know, excuse me, Dana, Jerry is on. I don't know if he's got voice or not.
I don't think he does. He's been typing in the chat.
He said 6:30 works for him.
6, yeah. All right, so everybody go with 6:30 on the 9th?
It's good for me.
All right. So, Bill, is that what we want to warn it for? Or do you
Sure.
want to talk with Barbara first to make sure she's available?
I think if you go to her and say this is what they what you could, if you're the most of you agree, then that's probably going to be the most effective. But yeah, I can.
Okay. And so we'll warn it for 6:30 on the 9th.
Okay.
All right. All right, so,
Are you gonna warn this? Did I hear you say you had to warn it?
I think it's easier. I think it's easier if we do. I mean, there's really no downside to warning it. I don't I don't see a lot of the public showing up. I mean,
There are no decisions to be made, but on the other hand, why take the risk?
yeah, there's no.
Somebody could get upset and then we got more problems than we. I agree.
when the select board did their site visit, they warned it. I mean, somebody who may be in the community may want to join us,
Yes.
just like they did with the select board.
Yeah, I mean, if they get together, anytime they get together for meetings, it's warned. It doesn't matter. It's just easier. It removes any issues. So
Great. Okay, so we'll warn that. And you let Barbara know? You want me to let Barbara know?
I can let Barbara know.
Okay. So before we transition off of this agenda item, are there any other topics or ideas that we need to address before we conclude this discussion?
I guess
Hearing none.
one comment would be a rain date. What if by chance it's pouring out? What are we gonna do? We're gonna be flexible enough to change it? You never know.
Yeah, definitely.
Just take a chance on it. But I mean, if it's a lousy day, we certainly would probably have second thoughts.
Maybe what we want to do then, Howard, is we move it to the 16th. And then the 16th is all we do, so that we can leave afterwards, like you said, and go home and just make sure that we're not infested with ticks. And then we schedule a separate meeting. If we only need 24 hours, we meet the following week on the 23rd or something. I don't know.
The very long range forecast says morning showers. That's it. But that's a very long range forecast.
We'll take our chance.
That's 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks away, right?
Yeah.
Wear the rain gear. That's all. Don't worry about it. Let's just do it.
Okay. So we'll look at that, and if we need to, we'll make an adjustment.
Sure.
So right
Okay.
now we're scheduled for the 9th, subject to weather.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're scheduled for the 9th period, and we'll see if we need to, adjust that because of weather. Okay. So perhaps, Bill, you and I can just coordinate on what the recommendation list is, so you don't have to watch the whole video for
Oh, it's okay.
what we talked about. Either way.
Excuse me, are we also scheduled for the 16th for a regular meeting?
We are scheduled for the 16th for a regular meeting.
Thank you.
The other question that Barbara gave me was, in terms of next steps, should our next steps be in terms of applying for grants or anything else? Maybe we want to put that off until we actually see what our final recommendations are. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I don't think we know enough.
Okay. So next steps will be 1, site visit. We can certainly invite neighbors to join us. Did the select board have a way of inviting the neighbors or notifying them?
They put their email addresses on the sign-in sheet, so I'm going to
So
use.
why don't we just send a notice to them that we're going to be meeting for our own site visit?
Yep.
And the site visit will begin on site at 6:30 at the park. Is that correct?
That's what I have. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so we can invite the neighbors through email. Bill has that.
Yep.
3 would be reconvene on 7/16 to finalize recommendations. That make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sorry, I took my video off. My phone's running low on battery.
Yep, that's okay. And then the final part would be, as I mentioned earlier, and I didn't forget, so Bill, you're off the hook. any of us that would be interested in joining an ad hoc committee for the Pocket Park Planning Committee.
I would, Mary Beth.
Okay. Ad hoc. I think Sherman said something, so we'll have to connect with him, but and I would join you, Mary Beth.
I would be willing, Howard.
Howard, you would?
Yep.
Okay, great. Anybody
This
else
is
interested?
Andy, I would.
That's all you can have.
I'm sorry?
I think that's all you can have. You don't want a quorum of members meeting outside of a regular meeting. I may be wrong, but Bill, what do you think, Bill?
If the meetings are, even if it's a committee, a subcommittee, and the select board has subcommittees and we warn those meetings, and if the meeting's warned, it doesn't matter how many of them are there.
Right.
Okay.
That's why, the select board committees are typically 2 of them. So there's not a majority there, but sometimes other ones come. So we always warn them. So there's no issue warning them. We need 2 days, we need 48 hours in advance notice to warn a meeting.
Right.
We do that, there's no issue. And it's just everything's above board.
We're back where we were a few minutes ago.
So it would be a joint subcommittee of the select board and the planning commission
Yeah. But
with members from the
that way,
public being part of it.
if it's noticed and we have it out there, more people may see it and may want to take some interest in it too. So
Right. There you go. Okay. Right. So I have
You got
Mary
my name
Beth,
on
Howard,
there?
and Andy.
Did you get my name on there?
I did, Andy.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm gonna inquire with Sherman because I think Sherman had expressed an interest, so I'll ask him with a question mark. I'll send him an email. Barbara mentioned his name, so we'll see how that goes. And if it gets too big, I can easily step back. It's not a major concern of mine. I think that the group would do a very good job. Okay, let's see. Joint committee and pursuing grants. That would be number 5. We should consider that after our site visit. Okay, so let me take us to our next item unless anybody has anything further. And the next item on our agenda is, there is no old business, so we can go right past that. But the next item on the agenda after that is some announcements. So I have a list of announcements that I'll go over for you. Barbara wrote an email to us, I think it was today or yesterday, about the town attorney writing a letter to the PUC, clarifying the town's position with respect to at least the 45-day notice. And she said we can discuss that because that letter hasn't been written yet, but we can discuss that at the next meeting on the 16th. And she also sent us, I think yesterday, 4 documents in preparation for our meeting on the 16th so that we could talk about how those documents relate in terms of a timeline and the representation made by Mr. Malone and Alco. So she and I had a conversation about our understanding of what we were recommending at the last meeting. She believes that Mr. Malone and company have misrepresented some of those facts as they relate to the 45-day notice. And I think that it would be beneficial for us to just have a conversation about what they are trying to do and what we believe we are recommending to our select board so that we have a unified presentation of information. So she gave us those 4 documents yesterday. The first one is a letter to Michael Malone from Josh and Barbara regarding the certificate of public good on April 17th. There was then a letter on May 26th from Alco to Josh and Barbara with MOUs that dated back to May of 17. That was followed up by a letter to Michael Malone from Josh and Barbara on June 12th that had references to June 9th, and then a select board meeting, I think. And then there is the waiver request that came in on June 18th, where the assertion was that the select board and the planning commission both supported waiving the 45-day notice and the stipulations in there. And Barbara does not think that that is an accurate representation of what we were discussing. So I would encourage you to read through those documents. The longest one is the waiver request. It's pretty detailed and a little lengthy. I think it's 25, maybe 30 pages. I don't remember. The others are relatively short. I did find the MOU fairly interesting in terms of what we agreed to as a town back in 2017. So if you don't have a chance to read through all of the June 18th waiver request that went before the Public Service Board or whatever. Yeah, Public Service Board? No. The
Public Utility Commission.
Public Utility Commission. Thank you. Knew that didn't sound quite right. Then at least read the 4 or 5 page document that has the MOU in it from 2017. I think that that is helpful for setting some context. Okay, so if we can do that for the 16th, I think Barbara would be impressed with us. And I know that I've read most of those, but seeing them all at once and reading them in their entirety helped me to get a better picture of what's going on. And I think that we need to remind Mr. Malone and company that we have no authority by which to make a decision. We can only inform the select board about things to consider and what we believe to be valuable in terms of moving projects along. But we are reminded every time I talk with Barbara that we don't have any decision-making authority unless it's given to us by the select board. So don't want to forget that. Questions or comments on that announcement? Realistic to achieve that for next time? And then Bill, you put it on our agenda maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that will be under old business, I believe, Bill. Is that correct?
Yeah, that should be, yep.
Rail Museum update. There isn't much to report. No one has connected with Bill or Barbara since we reached out.
Called me. Frank Jaffe called me this afternoon and
okay.
said that he spoke with Matt Rockwell, who he admitted is a very hard person to get a hold of because he hasn't called me back at all, and said that if there's any decisions to be made, we need to get a hold of the state, and that anybody paying for that project would likely be the state, and he's not sure they're really going to be looking to spend money on additional projects at this point. But he says they don't have any power over decisions of that building. They're just a tenant.
Right. So Barbara said, and I think I shared this with Bill, that perhaps we should find out which agency is in charge of that. And you thought it was VTrans.
Probably, yeah.
Is that right, Bill?
Yeah.
And then connect with them to see if we can get a representative to attend one of our future meetings.
Yep.
Any questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll move along. Last thing was the stormwater map update. Money was Barbara reported it last time, but money's not yet available, I guess, to pay Andres. That will occur after July 1st. And Barbara has not yet connected about the suggestions that were made regarding the tool. And that will also happen after July 1, when there's additional money for consulting fees for Andres to continue that work. So she has not shared any of our input yet with him, and that will likely occur after July 1.
Oh, can I jump in for a moment?
Absolutely, Meredith.
Thank you. Has anyone applied for a stormwater permit yet? I'm just curious.
No.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Thanks
Doesn't
for
mean
the
nobody's
question.
done anything, just nobody's applied for a permit.
Yeah.
Okay, any other announcements that need to be made? Bill, anything from your end? Nope.
I don't think so.
All right,
My little planning commission box is empty, so you're in good shape.
very good. All right, that takes us to the next item on the agenda, approval of the minutes from June 4th. Oh, by the way, thanks, Bill, for the updated minutes. I think there were a few small corrections that were made. So I'll entertain a motion to
So moved.
accept them. Norman, accepting, okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. If people need a moment to review those, please take a moment. And then we'll ask if there is any discussion.
Call from
Any discussion on the minutes? Or do people, I mean, they were pretty long, so if people need a minute, feel free to take it, but.
I have some changes I'd like to make.
Okay, what are they and what page are we on?
Page 2, line 5. Ms. Noyes pulling after the letter which. Then I'd like to put in she stated is full of inaccuracies. I have a couple of others.
Sure, Bill, did you get that?
Yep.
On number 5? Okay. Yep, go ahead,
Page
Andy, keep
3.
going. I'm sorry?
Page 3, top
Page 3.
paragraph. He asked if the town had received the impact fees. I think we should have the dollar amount in there. They were discussed at the meeting.
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
The Page 3, top paragraph, impact fees. I think the fee, the dollar amount should be in there because it was discussed.
What section are you in, Andy?
I think it's
Page
section
3,
7 where I spoke.
7? Okay.
Page 3, I'm
Yes.
sorry, Andy.
Roman numeral 7, I think. That's where I
I-
pointed out that there was a difference, and
Yeah.
he asked if the town had received the impact fees.
So
Yeah.
I can add it. It wasn't said. That's why I didn't put it in. But I can certainly add it. It just wasn't part of the conversation. The dollar amount.
I thought it was. I thought the 160 was mentioned at the time.
No, it wasn't, because there was no
I'm
dollar
sorry.
amount mentioned. I mean, I can certainly add it, but it just.
No,
Yeah, I didn't remember us hearing what the dollar amount
Yeah.
was at the
Well,
time. I just
it
asked the
certainly
question.
can't hurt to have it in there.
I can make it a note in there, but just
Okay.
that's the only reason it wasn't. I mean, so a lot of times when we do some of these corrections for this, what was said, not said, it's because that's exactly what was said. So I'm trying not to interpret what was meant. I'm it's trying to be accurate. So it's the only reason, because I don't disagree, but in terms of what was the actual of the minutes, that the dollar amount wasn't actually addressed. So, but I can put it as a note in there. So
Then corrected then, and believe me, I could never do as well as you on these minutes. So my congratulations, really. So.
So the pleasure is
then-
to leave the impact fees out, or to make an asterisk and have be a note?
We're going to put a note in there.
yeah,
what they-
I'll just put a bracket in there of a note. So yeah.
Okay.
Then moving on, Roman numeral 10, next to last line, without any additional amendments.
Oh, yeah.
And then 11, Mr. Peterson seconded the motion as amended.
Yeah.
And then the next line, I would make it, the motion is, and then I would insert that before the. The motion is that the Planning Commission has received the letter from Alco.
Okay.
Number 12, I'm almost done.
Almost at the end.
Line 3, there are significant errors, comma, both factual and legal, comma. Delete the second errors.
Well, that's what was said. So I can.
So
I
insert
can-
the word, Andy,
Pardon?
insert the word both.
Yes, significant errors, comma, both factual and legal in the letter.
Yes.
I agree. It reads better, but I always try to make it as what was said, and you guys are obviously free to make the update. So.
And
What I would suggest then, rather than rewriting the grammar, is to just put a comma after the second errors and leave it as it is. If that's the
Fine.
vote. You go with that, Bill? Just putting a comma in?
Put a comma
Because yes,
where?
I think you're right that sometimes there's an intent, and that's not what was actually said. And I think unless it's a clarification, I think we just leave it as is.
Yep.
But the comma does make it read easier,
Sure. That's
and
fine.
it doesn't change the intent.
It's added.
Great.
So is the word both going in or not?
No,
No.
we're leaving it out because it wasn't.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
That
Any
does-
further discussion?
does it for me.
Any further discussion about the minutes? Modifications? Corrections? Hearing none, I will call the question. All in favor of accepting the minute? Well, actually, we need an amended motion. So I can't remember who made the motion. Bill, do you have that?
I think I made the motion. I
Yeah.
accept the amendment.
Okay.
Norman, Mary
So-
Beth.
And Jerry,
No, Mary Beth.
Okay, Mary Beth
Oh, Jerry
seconded.
didn't
Mary Beth,
second
do you agree with the amendment and would second the amended minutes?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
do.
the motion should be to accept the minutes as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Jerry looks very
I
different.
will abstain. I was not at the last meeting. Okay, that's what Jerry says. Okey doke. So, passed unanimously with one abstention. Okay, I'd now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Andy, thank you. A second?
I'll second it.
We are adjourned at 8:05.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks, everybody, for their work